Hello. Today's topic is a continuation of our discussion last Friday, that is imaginary and complex number. Okay, so we have imaginary and complex number every time you have a negative. You're looking for the square root of a negative number. Okay, that's why when you get an imaginary number. And last Friday we discussed about how to express expressions or complex number in standard form, and today we are going to solve equations with imaginary numbers. Okay, so sometimes you will have solutions when you are solving quadratic equations and you will have imaginary numbers. So how do we solve quadratic equations with imaginary numbers? I have here examples. Okay, so we will solve this by these first three examples that I have we are going to solve this by finding the square root. Okay, so let's have the first example. Okay, so we have x squared is equal to negative 81. Now, to get the square root of to get the value of x here, we are going to get the square root of both sides because I want to eliminate the exponent 2 here. So what I will do is I will get the square root of x squared, and if I do that, I will also get the square root of negative 81 on the right side of the equation, right? So that is square root of negative 81. Right, so we can now cancel the exponent. Okay, so we have x is equal to, what is the square root of negative 81? So we know that square root of 81, the square root of 81 is equal to 9, right? Now this one is a negative number, so therefore this is an imaginary number. So what is the square root of 81? That is 9, and the square root of negative 1 is equal to I. So this will be 9i. So the value of your x is 9i. That's positive and negative. Okay, 9i. Okay, let's have the next one. 3x squared plus 48 equals 0. Okay, so that is our second example. So the first thing that we need to do is to isolate x here. To do that, I have to eliminate plus 48 here by subtracting both sides by 48. Right? So that will be 0. So 3x squared is equal to negative 48. And then I also have to eliminate 3 here. This is 3x squared. So this is multiplication. So to eliminate 3, I have to divide both sides by 3. So this is 1. So 1x squared or x squared is equal to negative 16. Right? Now next thing that we have to eliminate is the exponent 2. To do that, we have to get the square root of x squared and also get the square root of negative 16. Right? So x is equal to, the square root of negative 16 is 4i. Okay, positive and negative 4i. Okay, next we have 3x squared plus 75 equals 0. Okay, so the first thing that we need to eliminate is plus 75 here, so I will subtract both sides by 75. So that we can make this equal to 0. So you have 3x squared is equal to negative 75. And then eliminate 3 here. You will divide both sides by 3. So x squared is equal to negative 25. Right? 75 divided by 3 is 25. We have different signs, so that will be negative. And then we have to eliminate the exponent 2. You have to get the square root of x squared and also get the square root of negative 25. So x is equal to plus minus 5i. Because this is negative, so you have to add I in your solution. right? Okay, so aside from finding the square root, you can also solve quadratic equations by using quadratic formula. So let's have this example. What is the solution set of quadratic equation x squared plus 4x plus 5 equals 0? Okay, we can solve this by using quadratic formula. Okay, remember quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, right? So the first thing that we need to do is to identify the value of your a, b, and c. So in this case, your a is 1, your b is 4, and your c is 5, right? So that is a x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So make sure that your equation is written in standard form before you identify your a, b, and c. Okay, so this is 1, 4, and 5. Then after that, you are going to plug in or substitute all the values of your a, b, and c to the given equation. So x is equal to, your b is 4, so it says negative b, so that will be negative 4, plus minus the square root of b squared, so that will be 4 squared, minus 4 times a is 1, c is 5, all over 2 times a is 1, right? So that will be negative 4 plus minus the square root of 4 squared is 16, and then 4 times 1 times 5, that will be 20, so that will be negative 20 all over 2. Alright, so that will be negative 4 plus minus the square root of 16 minus 20 is negative 4 all over 2, and that will be negative 4. Let's write it here. So x is equal to negative 4 plus minus, what is the square root of negative 2? This is negative, so therefore we will have an imaginary number here. So that will be 2i, because square root of 4 is 2, and since it's negative, you just have to add I all over 2. And to simplify this, we are going to divide both terms in the numerator with the denominator 2, so that will be negative 4 over 2 plus minus 2i over 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, plus minus 2 divided by 2 is 1i. We don't write 1 for a coefficient. So negative 2 plus minus I. Next, what is the solution set of quadratic equation x squared equals 8x minus 41? So let us use quadratic formula again to solve this one. So as you can see, the given equation is not in standard form. So we have to rewrite this first in standard form. So to do that, we have to equate this to 0. So in order to do that, we are going to move 8x on the left side as well as negative 41. You can just simply subtract both sides by 8 and add both sides by 41, or you can just simply move them to the right side, to the left side of the equation, and make sure that you change the sign. So it will be x squared minus 8x plus 41 is equal to 0, right? Because if you will subtract this by 8, subtract both sides by 8, this will be cancelled and you will have negative 8x. If you will add both sides by 41, this will be 0, and then you have plus 41 on the left side. So it's the same thing. Then after that, you are going to add, you are going to identify your A, B, and C. Your A is 1, your B is negative 8, and your C is 41. Okay, the quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b plus minus the square root of, square square root of 4, sorry, so that will be b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, and then plug in your a, b, and c. Your b is -8. It says here negative b. That means you get the opposite of b. So if it's negative, make it a positive. Plus, minus. What's going on? Okay, I keep on. Right, so this is positive plus minus the square root of your b is -8 square. Always remember that when you're using calculator to get the square of a number, always make sure that you put parentheses, especially if it's negative, so that the calculator will also raise the negative signs by 2. Minus 4 times your a is 1 and your c is 41. All over 2 times your a is 1. So 8 plus minus the -8 square, or -8 raised to 2 is 64. Okay, negative times negative is positive. Okay, that's why I'm always reminding you to put parentheses when you're using the calculator, because if you will not put parentheses, you will still have a negative answer here. So 4 times 41 is 164. So minus 164, just use the calculator. Or you can multiply that first. Okay, and then let's just put it here. So x is equal to 8 plus minus the square root of 64. Okay, 64 minus 164 is -100. All over 2, and then get the square root of -100, that is 10. -100, square root of 100 is 10, but since it's negative, that will be 10i all over 2. And then you divide each term of the numerator by the denominator 2, so 8 over 2 plus minus 10i over 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4 plus minus 5i. Okay. So your solutions are 4 plus 5i and 4 minus 5i. Right? So that's what we mean by this. Alright. And let's have the last one. What are the solutions of quadratic equation x squared plus 2x plus 4 equals 0? So make sure that it is in standard form first. If you are going to use quadratic formula, it's already in standard form, so we are now ready to identify your a. Your a is 1, your b is 2, and your c is 4. This is your a, b, and c. Okay, now let us have the quadratic formula is -b plus minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, so your -b will be -2 plus minus your b is 2, so that will be 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4 over 2 times 1. Okay, I just plug in whatever value of my a, b, and c to the given formula. I just follow this. Okay, so -2 plus minus the square root of 2 squared is 4. Then -4 times 1 times 4 is -16. All over 2 times 1 is 2. And that will be -2 plus minus the square root of 4 minus 16 is 12. Negative all over 2. Okay, so x is equal to -2 plus minus Now, as you will notice, you don't have a square root for 12. Okay, but we can factor 12. Okay, in such a way that one of the factors should be a perfect square. Okay, should give you a perfect square. So factors of 12 are, so let's list down 12 is 4 times 3, 6 times 2, 12 times 1, right? Among these factors, which of these factors or pairs of factors gives you a perfect square? One of the factors should be a perfect square. So this is 4 and 3, right? Because 6 and 2, none of them are perfect square. You cannot get a square root of any of this. Same with 12 and 1. So we are going to use 4 and 3. Because 4, the square root of 4 is 2. So we can use that. So 4 times 3, right? And since this is negative 12, so 1 should be a negative. So we will put negative for 4 because we know that negative 4, square root of negative 4 is 2i all over 2. Okay, I hope you got this one. I'll repeat it again. Okay, factors of negative 12 are negative 4 times 3 or negative 6 times 2 or negative 12 times 1. Since this is negative, they should have different sign. So, okay, so you can also use 4 times negative 3, right? Now, I have to choose among these pairs of factors. Then I have to choose the one with factors that have a perfect square, that is a perfect square, or the factor we're in 1. Oh, okay, one of the factor is a perfect square, or I can get the square root of one of the factors. Okay, so I will choose negative 4 and 3 because 6 and 2, 12 and 1, none of them are perfect square. I cannot get the factor of those numbers, but I know how to get the square root of 4. Okay, so I will use this. So I will choose negative 4 times 3, and I will not choose 4 and negative 3 because I don't have a square root for negative 3. This will still remain as an imaginary number. So I will choose negative 4 and 3. Okay, so this will be okay, so this is going to be equals negative 2 plus minus square root of negative 4 is 2i, right? And you don't have a square root for 3, so I will just leave it inside the parentheses, I mean the radical symbol, all over 2, right? So then I will divide each term of the numerator by the denominator 2, so that will be negative 2 over 2 plus minus 2i square root of 3 over 2. Negative 2 over 2 is negative 1, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. Plus minus 2 divided by 2 is 1i, so 1i square root of 3. Okay, I hope you got my last example. Okay, so if you don't, okay, so I just hope that you got it. So what you will do is to practice, just go back and try that on your own and see if your answers are correct.